Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Offsides, the unofficial official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I'm your host, Andres Robledo, and I am joined by our co-host, the gambler, Pablo Robledo. Pablo, how's it going?
Did you forget who I was for a minute?
I was trying to think of a funny nickname, I couldn't think of one. But yeah, I think we should explain to everyone why the podcast episode's delayed. And it's you made a massive bet to the New England bookies. You drove all the way up there to place the bet. You're so confident in Charlotte winning. They lost. You had to leave town for a couple days till the heat wore off, all for $50. How was it? How was it avoiding the bookies?
To go into the Tennessee mountains.
Do anything fun?
Yeah, it was all right. Good weather. Got some golf in, so always good when I can get a couple of rounds in.
Yeah, it's golf season out here in North Carolina. Weather's finally super nice.
Yeah.
Besides all the pollen.
Yeah, but besides that, it wasn't too bad. Just some quality rest. Watch some of the golf on the TV, and then drove around, seeing all the sights.
Nice. Yeah, it was a good week after that loss, unfortunately. We'll jump into that before we get into it. Did want to give a shout out to the Outhouse Saloon guys. They had me on their latest YouTube video to discuss the New England match. We did player ratings and got into a little bit of a tangent about the whole system that Charlotte's playing and formation and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a little under an hour video, but those guys were a lot of fun to talk to. And if you guys are looking for more content to watch about Charlotte FC, definitely go check them out on YouTube at Outhouse Saloon, and follow them on their socials as well.
How many of you was it on that?
It was 3 of us.
3 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 of them and then me. So
do you remember their names?
Yeah, it was Joey and Andrew.
Uh-huh.
Shout out those guys. It was a lot of fun.
Shout out.
They so Andrew watches the podcast on YouTube. Oh man, I forgot. I don't know where my phone is. But anyways, if I got the names wrong, I'm gonna cut all this out. But Andrew is watching. He watches the podcast on YouTube, and like I don't know, if you don't watch it on YouTube, there's a little Easter egg there for you guys where I add an effect that just made our logo violently shake around for the whole hour-long podcast. And he said he was watching it while he was like working, and it was on a separate monitor, and he had to like turn it off because it just kept distracting him. And he's like, "Did you know it did that?" I was like, "Yeah, it did that on purpose at like 1 a.m." But yeah, who knows what I'll do this time? Have to go to YouTube and subscribe and find out.
Is he? I'm assuming he's like what, your age?
No, I think they're both a bit older, probably closer to your age.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't get that whole listening to the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, we had an off-air discussion about that. I mean, I do it just because I have YouTube Premium, so it's like kind of easier because I can lock my phone and I don't get any ads or anything. And then there's like a couple on YouTube that aren't on Apple that I listen to. But, yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
Well, cool. Yeah, I'll have to give them a listen later on. I'm kind of catching up on some episodes on my other podcast that I listened to while I was out. I didn't get to listen to them as I regularly do, but I have to give them a good old like and follow.
Yeah, and then they also do this cool thing where they
give out money.
Yeah, it's all in Bitcoin. You just have to give them your wiring information, bank account number, social security. No, kidding. They do a really cool thing where they watch the game like on the Charlotte website, and then they'll like stream their reaction. So you can like go and hang out with them and chat to them on their YouTube channel while you watch the game. And told them I'll probably try to make it to one of those eventually. Not sure when.
Yeah,
but that would be fun. Get on there and just live react to one of the games. It'll be interesting.
How was that experience in relation to how you and I do ours?
It was interesting. We did player ratings instead of like a whole recap of the whole match.
Yeah.
We just went through the starting lineup and gave the ratings. I rated Serderski and Rios. I think Andrew did the back line and Joey did the midfielders. So it was an interesting way of doing it.
What did McCoon get?
I think a 5. The whole back line didn't do that well.
No.
I think Carujo also got a 5 and like Fuchs a 6 or 5.5.
Yeah, I would say for that New England game, this was probably Corujo's worst game.
Yeah, and we can get into that as it was when we jump into the match recap. But yeah, I have to agree with that. Not his best performance.
Yeah.
But and then other little bit of interesting news I thought I would share with you. Internet rumors and the rumor mill is kind of starting for the summer transfer window. And Gareth Bale, 32 years old, out of Real Madrid, contracts up in the summer. It is rumored that DC United are in the hunt and are ready to offer him more money than they paid Wayne Rooney when he came. I don't know how much money that is. But
I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think it's something that they should do, or?
I mean, if they can, yeah, why not? Because it's like a domino effect. Once one of these guys from the major leagues over there in Europe starts coming over, then it's the trickle effect, and then other guys start coming over. But I mean, he's a pretty big star over there still.
Yeah.
Where in comparison to like where Rooney was after Manchester United, I mean, once Ronaldo left and it was just Rooney, he got tired fast, and then he was old news fast. Then after that, it was like he went to, I think, a lower division team, and then over to DC United, and then even at DC United, like some of the highlights that I've seen, which were incredible.
Yeah,
it looked like he was just carrying that team on his back, and it just didn't look like it was a lot of fun for him.
Yeah, I don't think he lasted very long. I could be wrong, but I don't remember his time here being very long.
Right. Yeah. I remember one highlight that I believe DC was on the attack. Either the defense or the goalie had cleared the ball out. That ball was like all the way towards the half line, and Rooney ran it down, did a slide tackle, recovered the ball, sent it in for a cross, and then DC United scored.
Yeah,
and then all those guys went and celebrated, and like Rooney was just left by himself. I'm like, it was just like
no appreciation.
Right. I'm like, did you not see what he just did? Like, those guys should have ran up to him.
And then there's like another one I remember where I think like the opposing team cleared it or something, or maybe he like won it in his own half and just turned and like bombed one into the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
From like, I think pretty deep in his own half, if I remember.
Yeah.
But it showed he still had it, but he was still kind of like head and shoulders above the league.
Right. Yeah.
I think times have changed now.
This was like pre where I was like getting really, I mean, right now because of Charlotte's when I'm like really serious about MLS, but I still saw some of the highlights from those guys that came over from Europe. I know when Henry came over and Zlatan came over, like it was always fun to watch those highlights, because even though they're up there in numbers as far as age, when they come to like this level of playing field, they're still like, that much better.
Yeah. And I think the Gareth Bale one is interesting just because he also feels a bit more still in his prime than like when those guys came over. It really felt like they were kind of out of it, and he's fallen so out of favor with Real Madrid and the fans and stuff for no real particular I mean, I think he still is, you can see when he plays for Wales, he still has it, still looks really sharp. So if it does happen, it'll be interesting, because I think it'll be a different dynamic. It won't really be like a player looking to ride off into the sunset of their career, and at like 50%, he still looks like he has like all that talent that made him Gareth Bale.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting for DC United. They would definitely get a really good weapon.
Yeah, it would be. If they do get him, we'll see how long he lasts, and I'm sure he would make one heck of an impact for that team. I don't think right now on the tables they're doing too well either.
No, and they just fired their head coach this week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like gotta get my Indeed resume up.
And then the other bit of news is the round of 32 drawing for the U.S. Open Cup happened today, and we got Richmond, led by the famous Coach Carter. Just kidding. For our next opponent. What do you think of that, out of all the possible opponents we could have gotten?
I mean, I'm glad it was those guys. I tell you honestly, after watching that game last night against Greenville, even though we won, like all day I've been feeling like this team has lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Like it was hard to watch that game last night. now correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as divisions for U.S. soccer, MLS is like Division 1.
Yeah.
I forget who is like Division 2, but Greenville is in Division 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for us to be playing like a Division 3 team, and then I mean we should have just, I felt like we should have won that game 3 or 4-0, and it was a 2-1 victory
In extra time.
Exactly, in extra time.
And the goal came late in extra time.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that they put one in on us, I was just like, it was just hard to watch. Even Callie was like, our team sucks. I was like, don't say that. But yes, they do.
Take that back.
And I heard a lot of comments where it was like, well, it was just an all sub team, this and that. I was like, oh,
Wow.
it is, but still, I mean, they're supposed to be performing at a higher level.
Yeah.
In fact, I guess 2 higher levels, if you're gonna rate it like that. I wasn't impressed by the whole bunch of those lots.
Yeah, that was a tough game to watch.
Yeah, it felt like there was a 2-loss game there, even though we did one in advance and all that. It was just,
and yeah, I mean,
it was hard to watch that game.
We'll cover that game in a bit more depth after a New England game too, but it's also just a little disappointing to see it like last for so long, just because now we have to travel to Colorado also, play at altitude, and go play Colorado after, I mean, really, I would say, I forget when the subs happened, but it was like halfway through the second half that a big portion of the starting lineup got put back in. I mean, you're really only
came back in.
Missing what? Krujo, Lindsay,
Rios came in,
Gorderski, Franco, and Alcivar.
Yeah.
So you got, what was that, 4 or 5 guys that are normally in your starting lineup that didn't play at all. But so then your rest of your starting lineup just played like, what, 60, 70 minutes? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like a very hard fought, like high paced game. So
when it really shouldn't even have been that much. And we've talked about it, how like, we think that Fuchs is not exactly a 90-minute guy, even though he has played 90 minutes of every game. But now it's like he had that Wednesday match, and now he's got another match coming up. What is it, Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday. It is gonna affect them, I'm sure. Plus the other guys as well. Like where they should have been getting rest.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we play our Sunday match, I'm done for like 2 or 3 days after, and that's only an hour.
So you gotta just drink Red Bulls all day.
Yeah. Well, that was all the news I had. Anything else you might have had you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm just hoping it doesn't. Yesterday's game doesn't affect the team morale too much.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, if I'm feeling this way after watching that game yesterday, I'm just wondering how they're feeling, like how they're thinking.
Yeah.
About their performance yesterday. Like yesterday's 2-1 was nothing to celebrate over. I mean, it's good that we moved on. Yes, we won, but it should have been like 3-0. Like we should have performed a lot better. But hopefully they learned something from that.
Yeah, and then also too, it's like we move on to the next round, and we got the only other USL team left in like our part of the tournament as our next opponents. But I mean, you see how hard that match was against Greenville, and now we have to go up against the team that won. So that the next round's not going to be easy either.
Yeah.
So actually, to jump on that for a quick second before we recover the 2 matches, something that if you're on Twitter, a great follow is Top Bid 90. Covers a lot of great Charlotte FC stuff, as well as some other big European games. But he posed the question to fans online, and I mean, what would you rather see, the team make the playoffs or win the US Open Cup, or at least have like a really deep run into it? And let's define deep run by at least make it to quarterfinals, maybe even further, maybe semifinals. What would you rather see? I mean, us make the playoffs or get really far in our first ever US Open Cup?
That's a good question. If you're gonna put it between those two as ultimatums, as far as the Open Cup, I'm gonna say I would rather see them win it. I don't care about like a deep run into like it's the shut up, Brewski. But I would rather see them win the cup. That way we start getting some silver and then the display cases there. you know.
Yeah, I have to agree because just the way we've been playing lately, I don't think winning the MLS Cup in our first season is very realistic.
No.
And then and we don't have the squad depth to compete long term in both. It does kind of feel like the manager would have to focus on one or the other, right? Play a weaker starting lineup for MLS games, or or do the other and play really strong lineups for U.S. Open Cups. And I mean, I think I have to agree. I think I'd like to see them focus on the U.S. Open Cup and make a deep run in it.
Because I mean, right now after that last loss against New England, you and I discussed this in our last episode, where now it's like you're really starting to fight to stay in that playoff run and stay at the middle of the tables and try to work up. But like one loss, we went from 5th to 8th place.
Yeah.
So, and then just to get back up, is hard.
And you think about it from like potential recruiting standpoint too. Like if I'm a player and I have to choose between like a team that maybe got into the playoffs comfortably but got knocked out in the middle of it or even late playoffs, or a team that like has won something, and not only did the team win silverware last year, but then if you win the US Open Cup, you automatically get a spot into the CONCACAF Champions League too.
Oh, okay.
So then you get to, even more playing experience. So
Right.
for me, I think that as a player, if I'm trying to choose between two teams, and one is, you're going to be pretty strong in the regular season, but maybe not make deep runs into anything else, or a team that is going to get to play in regular season, US Open Cup, and, some Champions League soccer.
Yeah.
I think I would choose that.
Yeah, because I mean, if it opens up other stages where you're playing like in the CONCACAF, like you said, or these other tournaments, then this team gets more exposure, which means players or even just coaches. You could get better coaching out of it as well.
Yeah.
So that more exposure is always better.
And I would, well, it's hard to say with like some, David Tepper, is the owner. We've seen the way he kind of runs the Panthers, and with all the like salary cap rules and stuff that are in MLS, it's hard to say this next point, but like usually when teams do get into like extra competitions, usually like ownership allows you to spend a bit more to build a more in-depth team, so that you can be competitive in all the different competitions. But I don't know how that would work over here. I'm kind of basing that off of like some don't you put that Coke on my comic book? Basing it on some of the European teams, like especially like in the Premier League, like that battle for top four is so important because you do get in a Champions League, and that does get you more money and better recruiting and all that stuff. So
yeah, especially right now, we still don't even have a full squad.
Yeah, that's the other part
we
too.
Still got like 3, maybe 4 slots open.
Yeah, and then we have the one DP slot, which I think Gareth Bale
probably gonna be on the summer transfer.
Yeah, definitely.
In realistic terms, how the team is playing, how it played yesterday against Greenville, and how it is playing right now in away games, I don't see making much progress in either championship.
Yeah, I mean, unless we get to host all the, if we can beat Richmond away, and let's say it's with a mix of a lineup like Greenville, which is, I've seen a lot of people kind of call it their reserves team. I'm going to call it more of a mix, because it was really a mixy team. It wasn't just all reserves. I mean, at the start it was, but
yeah,
towards the end of the game, it was like mostly the starting lineup, or a good half and half.
Yeah, Coach Ramirez was like, okay, like we have to win this. So he
subbed like 4 people in at once.
He went from plan A to plan C real quick.
Yeah, and I think if we can beat Richmond, and then all we have left in the schedule, US Open Cup wise, or other MLS teams, I mean, I'd like to see them just put the starting lineup out every time, and then let like some of the younger guys, or kind of like second string guys, play the MLS games to get more experience, and just make a run at the cup.
Yeah, but we'll see. There's a lot of improvements. It's got to come from both the starting team and then the B squad.
Yeah, but I would imagine too, like if you get past the round of 32, I don't know when the round of 16 is, Well, let's say it's in the middle
After
of
the round of 32.
I don't have a month it is or whatever. But let's say it falls under that like summer transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of also gives you some extra leverage over other teams that have been knocked out. Like if I have to pick between playing for Charlotte or Austin, right? Well, Austin's not in the cup, but Charlotte is making a deep run at it. I might pick Charlotte over Austin. I don't know. Something to think about.
Yeah. I wonder if we can trade McCoon.
I don't know anyone that wants him. I wouldn't even take him on our team. But all right, so let's go ahead and jump into the New England game. We were away at Gillette Stadium, a very empty Gillette Stadium, I might add. For all those New England fans that chirped at me about the Bank of America Stadium. And I get that there was rain, but who freaking who?
Yeah, so what?
Show up for your team. Unfortunately, was not our best game. I thought we looked better than our last away game.
Yeah.
But I think that also has a lot to do with New England's not Philadelphia. And I think, after watching more games.
Still undefeated.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia just makes everyone look bad. I thought the team, moved the ball around really well. We lost 2-1. The biggest surprise to me before the game was seeing Fuchs at left back. What did you think about that?
I was when I saw the lineup, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this, but anytime I see McCoon in that center back and then Fuchs on the left back, I'm automatically just like eyes rolling. I'm not happy with that lineup choice at all. Like,
yeah.
I've said it once and I'll say it every time I see his name on the lineup sheet. McCoon is not a starting defensive guy. He's good to like sub in, but that's it. Like, he does not need to be starting. He lets too many plays go by, and he's just a sloppy defender. I think this just comes from age and his lack of MLS experience. And then Fuchs should not be in that left back position. He's too old, and he shouldn't be making all those runs back and forth for a guy that's mainly an anchored defensive player where he can hold that center with Corujo, and he's more of a weapon, not even a weapon, a better teammate to Corujo on that center back than McCoon is.
Especially like with the way the back line looked against Atlanta. Like, they gave up a few chances, but they still looked, probably one of the strongest defensive performances we've seen all season. And, I thought Mora's been having some decent games. To just kind of go back to Fuchs at left back to me, felt like no real reason. Like, yeah, that's where he played when we beat them last time, but clearly the team's been playing better with him at center back. Like, we've had, 2 good performances with him at center back and Mora out left. I didn't see any rhyme or reason to start Fuchs at left back. And the big thing I've seen a lot of people online talk about is that Mora doesn't provide anything offensively with the ball from that left back position. And after watching this game, I mean, neither does Fuchs. Like,
not to an extent where like
it's worth it.
It's worth it, or he's needed in that position. Like, Morris had a couple of runs where he makes it up there and
there's some good long shots too.
Yeah, but it's probably the same amount of runs that Fuchs has put in.
Yeah, so
and you just notice them because it's him. He's like, he's the main t-shirt seller guy. Like, everybody knows Fuchs, and Mora doesn't get shown on the highlights as that much, but it just doesn't make sense to me to put Fuchs in that position. Put him in the center back and let him stay there and anchor that defense down, and let these other younger guys play that left back position. Mora is good. Armor's great. I don't know why Armor hasn't been getting more starts. I feel like he should be.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not the coach. Not yet.
Everybody go sign our petition.
Yeah, wait till I get FIFA.
Yeah, so I mean, that was my biggest disappointment, is just and I'm tired of just seeing like the Mora hate and the whole narrative of like Fuchs is this offensive creative god down that wing. He's just whipping in crosses. It's like, when we do cross the ball, there's no one in the box anyways. And, like, we don't really have any tall like strikers or very like big athletic guys that can jump up and get that cross anyways. So I don't think that's like really what we need to be doing on the offensive side of the ball. But that's just, again, my 2 cents. We should have just stuck with the back line that's been performing well.
And another thing too is Fuchs might seem like you said like a offensive creator, but it's also because like Bronico is not doing anything on that defensive spot either.
Preach.
Like he should be getting that ball from Fuchs or somewhere in that back line and then dribbling up to create those offensive plays. And he's just like white rice. He's just there. He's not doing anything at all. And yesterday I was so done with him too. I was just like, Bronico, what are you doing? You're such garbage. But
was a great guy, but
like we'll never get your t-shirt, but
that's another guy who gets a lot of love online, and I get it because I mean he seems like a cool guy. Like I'd go get a beer with him and hang out with him.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I kind of take that back. I probably wouldn't either. He'd probably beat me up and stuff me in a locker. But I just like, yeah, from that position, like I get he like runs around a lot. Like you see him running around. I see him running.
Yeah.
I don't see him making like these game crunching tackles to win the ball back. He backpedals a lot when like people dribble at us. He's not like cutting off like passing lanes and intercepting the ball. Like, yeah, I don't really see what we're getting out of him in that position. And I mean, we can get into it more like when we get into the Greenville game. But like when I saw Derek Jones start and play in that game, I thought that was a lot better from that position. I thought he stands his ground a bit more and like tackles people off the ball, tends to play it diagonally forward a bit more. Still not as much as I would like, but I think that's more of like the formation system kind of thing. Yeah, I just think we're playing like a man down almost when he's in that position.
Yeah, I mean, going back to yesterday's Greenville game with Jones in that starting lineup, and you did see a lot more long balls come out of him, and he is a more physical threat there, or just presence there, where he's like, you know,
he kind of controls the pace of the game a little bit too, because like he can play it out quickly, or he can like hold it and like shield the guy off and turn and like look for something. Or like Bronico, as soon as he gets the ball, he's releasing it like right away, which I mean you kind of want that in a player, but when it's like
he almost wastes his time.
Like a lot of the times when he gets the ball, he's passing it back.
Doesn't let that play develop. Like he just gets it and gets rid of it. Like why don't you look up and see who's running these long routes?
Yeah,
but he doesn't.
It's almost like stat padding. He's like, man, I got like 20, perfect passes. It's like you passed it right back to the guy that passed it to you. Like, of course. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I don't want to harp on Bronico too much. I've done it all season long, and he's gonna beat me up at a target.
He would shut up at a target. No, I just like I feel like if Jones had more starts and the team starts to develop a better chemistry with him, then they would know that like, okay, Jones can cross it. Like, let me make this type of run instead of when like Bronico gets the ball, you're kind of expecting a short pass.
Yeah, I mean,
like you got to let this stuff kind of naturally develop, and it's hard to when you constantly put these guys in a starting lineup that are not doing anything.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes, they're not doing anything.
Same. I feel like sometimes when I see like what people tweet about the game, I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I'm just like, I don't know. We watched different games. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, let's move past Bronico. I thought the other big disappointment was Franco. I thought he had a really quiet game. And that's kind of the thing I've noticed the most is like when Franco and Alcivar have quiet games, there's just no offensive traction in the team. I mean, what do you think about that?
I wasn't terribly disappointed with Franco. He did have a quiet game, but at the same time, like you can't expect him to carry the team. And then Alcivar too. I felt like Alcivar had an even quieter game.
Yeah, which is disappointing after the string of performances he's had lately.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was kind of shocking to me. It kind of happens that way sometimes. You start building momentum up, and it could be an instance where maybe New England's staff develop some sort of tactic around those two guys because they have been, pretty dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just been like, you stay on his shadow the whole game.
Yeah,
and it's hard to make plays when you're constantly marked.
Yeah, those are the only real standout performances to me, especially in the first half. I guess let's cover the first goal.
Well, going back to that, as far as like it felt like a lot of our offensive guys had a lot of marking on them. Like Bender had a surprisingly quiet game,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of Serdersky. But Rios had an actual like shot on goal. Well, I don't know. No, I don't think it was on goal, but he had like a shot off and maybe a header or so. And it was like he saw more chances than these other guys did. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the whole like Bender and Sergersky thing, though, it's almost just like trying to think of how to phrase it. I feel like they just had quiet games just because we couldn't get the ball to them and we couldn't get to them in like favorable positions. Like when I was on the Outhouse Saloon show, you know, we pulled up Sergersky's heat map, and like there was times where he was like having to pick the ball like deep in our own half.
right.
And kind of same thing with Bender, where like you go back to the first time we played New England or when we played Cincinnati, and both those guys had really good games. They were like getting the ball like in the opponent's third and then like turning and running or like turning and passing it within each other.
Yeah.
In this game, it just felt like they never got the ball at that position. And it would feel like whenever we would get the ball around the box, we just had like no idea what to do with it. And even in the Greenville game, it felt like that at times where like people just would just get to the opponent's box and then just stand around and be like, okay, now what? And like you would just see like some terrible cross or just lose the ball. Like,
Yeah. Just, I mean, they got to start letting a lot more shots from outside the box. Like,
yeah, just let them fly.
not crosses, but just start ripping shots from outside the box and then start dialing in that shot to. I mean, eventually one of them's gonna go in or have a ricochet and somebody's gonna pick it up. But you know, getting to the top of the box and then going to the side and having a bad cross is it's not the way to go about getting goals.
No. Mm-mm.
I mean, it works sometimes, but you know, that unexpected shot is what is gonna go in a lot more times.
Well, I mean, you think about like, you know, some of Serdersky's goals. There've been times where he picks the ball up outside the box and just does a quick turn and shoots it, as opposed to like some, you know, a header off of a cross. Like a lot of our goals have been shots outside the box or, you know, quick, you know, passes into space. Not really a lot have been from crosses.
Yeah, yeah. But that seems to be kind of like the main strategy right now. I guess that this coach is going with is more, you know, get 2-3 guys in the box and then cross it in. Because even right now, you know, we just watched that one highlight there, and he should have shot that. Who was that? Franco?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Alcivar picks the ball up outside the box, kind of fakes a shot, passes it to Franco, and then he makes, you know, a little run inside the box, and Franco just, you know, shoots it.
Yeah, I think that was if you watch the highlights on YouTube, that's around the 21st minute of the first half. And it's like Alcivar, like you said, he gets to the top of the box, is indecisive where he should have shot it. He had time to shoot it. And then it passes it off to, I mean, it was a good pass. Franco shot it and it was just like a weak, low shot that was blocked. But I feel like if Alcivar would have shot that just a second or two quicker,
yeah,
it would have been a much better placed shot.
Yeah. So I mean, we've kind of been jumping around all over the match. I guess mostly in the first half, but let's jump back to the first goal. New England, you know, kind of passes the ball around in our own half, mostly on the left side, and then switches it out to the right, and you know, guy is just wide open by himself. Fuchs. The big thing is, you know, a lot of people have kind of criticized like Fuchs's work rate on this play. Like he doesn't jog out to the guy, and
yeah, I think, and this probably goes back to like Fuchs can switch from left back to center back, where you know he probably plays in. I'm sure he does. He plays that position differently as far how he wants to pressure, things like that. I didn't think his pressure on that guy that made the cross in was terrible. I thought the marking on the two inside offensive players from New England was not at all where it should have been. I mean, Crujo was right on top of his guy, but McCoon was just nowhere near anybody. Not enough to make an impact.
yeah.
I mean, I can't complain too much about that play. That was
For the
a
Fuchs
good
one
offensive play on New England.
For me, I just think I don't think he expected the cross to come in off the first touch.
Right.
Like the guy never even settles the ball. He just crosses it into the box right off the first touch. And I don't think he was just expecting that at all, and that just took him like completely out of the play. So that was like good on the New England offense for doing that, and good quality there. But yeah, the marking on the two guys trying to head the ball there, just not great. I mean, like you said, McCoon's nowhere there, like not even covering the near post, and Brujo just gets beat trying to help cover that near post, even though he's kind of where he should be at.
Right.
It really shouldn't get past McCoon.
I mean,
but
if you're gonna blame Fuchs for a sloppy pressure, and you could also blame Kalina for not just screaming and stepping out and just grabbing that right out of the air. Like I don't feel like that was a super fast cross, or it was a pretty chip cross where you could have ran out there and grabbed that.
Yeah.
But again, it was just a well placed cross on them, and I'm surprised like those guys even got the header off. So it seemed like it caught everybody off guard.
Yeah, I think especially just the guy who played it first time.
Yeah.
It seems like it caught everyone off.
See, like right there, I mean, he just runs out and grabs that.
Yeah.
But then he run out and grab the other one.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. And then, we didn't really create a whole ton of real competitive chances in that first half either. I mean,
yeah,
the shot from Franco,
we had like what it seemed like to be just a lot of chances that were not fully, what's the word I'm looking for? They just weren't taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I mean, not to take away from Soderski's free kick there, which I'm glad to see that he's taken more of them.
Yeah.
Which means that he's building his confidence up, and that the Polish Pistols is letting him fire from outside that box. But it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't a great placed free kick. Should have been more up in the air. But we had the free kick, we had Franco's shot, we had Rios' shot. We just had like a lot of weak shots that were like super easy for the keeper to just grab.
Yeah,
the keeper barely had to move.
Yeah, they weren't very threatening. They weren't like they were going to need some kind of luck to go in, really.
Yeah.
And then like the clearing from the defenders, like all game was just so bad. I mean, that's what leads to the second goal, but like it's just like the indecision, or like the amount of time it takes for them to clear a ball out.
Yeah, or like the frustration. It seems like that one clearing we saw from Corujo where he just boots it out of the box. It looked like he was just kind of frustrated of just having the ball there and just clears it out, and then he tries to do it again, and that's how we got that second goal.
Yeah,
that bad ricochet.
Towards the end of the half, we had the shot by Rios. Great pass by Bender to find him into that tight space, and then he lets it rip. And I mean, it was a really hard angle to score. Great shot. A little unlucky that it, curves to the outside and hits the post and goes out, as opposed to, kind of finding that window in between the keeper and the near post. But again, really hard position to score from.
Yeah. What do you think of the McCoon yellow card there? I know we talked about it a little bit before we started the recording session here, but it was a bad pass there from Corujo over to McCoon. You said that the foul there was kind of necessary to just end the play, but I felt like McCoon just should have never even turned. He should have just seen that guy coming if he would have scanned and just got rid of the ball, like one touch pass up the field, or just cleared it up the field instead of, now he fouled, that team gets a free kick, and McCoon's got a yellow. Like, this is, to me, this is really bad decision making by that guy.
It was just sloppy play from that back line all game.
Yeah.
I would say, except for maybe Lindsay. I mean, he's kind of been, after the, we're 7 games in, he's looking like our best, most consistent defender.
Right.
Not like crazy outstanding performances, but I feel like he's been the most consistent. He gets up the most. He is constantly finding space. Again, probably our best one-on-one defender. I mean, I can't think of a time where he really gets like beat that leads to a goal or anything, except I guess on the Philly game. But again, like, Philadelphia just makes everyone look bad, as we've come to learn.
Yeah.
But besides that, I mean, again, he kind of feels like the most solid guy in that back line.
Yeah. What do you think of our subbing there around the 72nd, 73rd minute?
I liked it. I would have liked to seen it a bit sooner, especially since we were only 1-0 down.
Right.
Like if we would have done it like in the 65th minute or something, like we're still only down by 1 goal at that time, and we're putting in Reyna, who's very pacey and good at dribbling with the ball now, and Ortiz, who is starting to get some better performances under his belt. Looks like he's getting a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And then in this game, like when he did get subbed in, I thought this was his best game of the season so far. His work rate was really good. Like it seemed like he was just covering the whole half of New England's side of the field, like just constantly like chasing the ball down, like trying to make something happen. And then he goes on and Reyna and Ortiz create that sole goal that we get. And I talked about it on the Outhouse Saloon video. The shot from Ortiz, it kind of felt like a buildup of frustration that led to him to shoot that ball. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure you've been in that moment too, where like you've been like when you're playing competitively, like you've had a couple of bad games and you're finally
yeah.
like getting some time and the team's not playing well and you're like trying to just do whatever you can and you find a yard of space and you're like, I'm just shooting it. Like I'm just gonna shoot the ball and it goes in. It just looked like it took a big weight off his shoulders. I think if New England don't time waste there shortly after that, I think he could have led us to get a second goal. He was really bringing the team back to life and putting the momentum like back in our in our favor up until we give up a silly foul and then New England take like 30 minutes to make a sub and they get cramps and all that garbage. But
well, and that goes back to that's part of killing the momentum.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's a strategy,
it is, yeah.
Time killing is obviously not a big surprise to any sport. Just killing that clock and then just killing momentum. That's part of it. If it would have been the other way around, our team would have been doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I do like that the subs that came in were impactful to the end result.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell they came onto the field like trying to make something happen. Like
Right.
the way, like to go back to the goal we scored, like Reyna chases that ball and keeps it in play like out of nothing, really.
Yeah.
And then finds Ortiz, and Ortiz, just creates that nice little like chippy shot that beats the keeper from again outside the box.
Yeah, which is kind of what I like to see out of our subs. I like they're still fighting for minutes or even just more or like a starting position maybe in another match. But it's like, one thing I don't ever like to see out of a sub is just for them to kind of come in and jog around and not really be impactful at all. But I'm glad that they did make the most out of that opportunity when they came in, and especially for PT Ortiz's goal there. I mean, that was nobody stopping that shot. That was a well placed shot there. That defense gave him like they didn't really pressure him that much. He had enough time to like stop it, roll it forward a little bit, and then just place it in that back left corner like beautifully. So good on him to just seize the opportunity. And is what you and I have been speaking of, is just those shots from outside the boxes when it's going to catch a keeper or just the defense in general sleeping.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good cross and a header from there, but those outside shots they're just much harder to stop sometimes.
Yeah, especially think about it from like the keeper's point of view. He's got his defenders in front of him, like he can't see all the angles and then the speed that these shots come in at. Like,
or if the ball's gonna knuckle.
Yeah, and you've only got like a second, not even a second, to make a decision on where to dive, to catch it, punch it out. Like
you could also get like a bad ricochet off of somebody. Like, there's so many more variables that go into an outside shot than if you cross it in, it's either going to be a volley or a header.
Yeah, and it's going to be like a 50-50 ball too.
Exactly. Yeah, you're giving up control, and I'm not a big fan of those. I guess this offensive strategy where we seem to be just wanting to cross in a lot more.
Yeah, and again, like we talked about it, or I talked about it with the House Saloon guys of like, to me, it just feels like a very like old school way of playing. Like I just felt like all the big European teams played this way in the early 2000s. Like even growing up, like when I started getting into competitive play, it was all about like 4-4-2 with a diamond in the midfield, get the ball out to the outside midfielders and cross it in. And that was like the whole strategy. And it feels like the game has moved past this. Like if you watch like any, big European team or, high level, like, I mean, we'll see in the World Cup, like these high level international matches, it just feels like teams don't really play this style anymore. The game is a lot more possession based and about, finding gaps in between the defensive lines,
Yeah. Dribbling into the box instead of just crossing it into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's how Ramirez wants to play, and
Yeah. I really thought Rios was gonna get a goal there on this game,
and he needs a goal. Not necessarily because I think it like would solidify his like starting position or anything, but just because of like how selfless he is as a player. Like he's willing to do all the dirty work,
or give it up for somebody that's got a better opportunity.
Yeah. So I'd like to see him get rewarded for that eventually.
Yeah.
And then the other subs of the game, and we can kind of wrap up our New England recap around here, but Armor came in, and it looks, Armor I think brings in a good like offensive dynamic to the team. He likes to pick the ball up and dribble out players and get forward.
Right.
Which for me is why I would like to see him at left back.
Yeah.
Like if we're not going to play Mora, who I think is the best defensive player at the left back position that we have, and want to play, the whole reason we're playing Fuchs is because we want more offense out of that position. Like I think that position needs to go to Armor then, because he gets up forward, he like dribbles at players, like good passing, and he's got the stamina to get up and down. We saw him come in at that left mid, and then McCoon gets hurt, so Fuchs slides into center back, and Armor goes into that left back position, and Mackenzie Gaines comes in. But I think he had a good game, and another game where he's coming off the bench and having impact, which is nice to see.
I'd like to see this coach maybe even give Armor a shot at that defensive midfielder position.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd still just want to see Jones there.
Jones?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I
agree with you. Mora is good at that left back position as well. And if I have to pick between Mora and Armor, I would say Armor, just because Armor seems to make those runs. I guess I want to say better. He just seems more impactful than Armor. Armor to me is similar to a Bronico, where he's there but he's not.
You mean Mora is similar to Bronico?
I'm sorry, yes, Mora is he's there but he's not really making a huge impact, whereas Armor he does try to get up more and he does try to create more offensive plays, but he hasn't seen too many chances for him to do that. Like the chances that he has gotten has been from like late subs. And from coming in from on a late sub, it's hard, especially in that left back position where unless you're playing in the middle somewhere, you're not getting the ball too much on the sides.
One is the last couple of substitutions also, especially since we have had like Fuchs play at center back and more at left back. I think his last two substitutions have been for Bender and playing kind of that more left midfield, which I like because again he likes to get forward.
Yeah.
But for me, like I would like to see, like if it was up to me, I would play Mora at that left back and sub Armor in for Bender around like the 65th, 70th minute to get fresh legs in. I think he like is a good viable threat. I think for this team, just because we don't create a lot of goals, I would rather just have a more solid back line that's not going to give up a lot of goals. So like, well, yes, maybe Mora isn't going to score a goal or set up a goal. I don't see him like getting beat that often either. Like,
you're right. I mean, defensively, he's solid.
So I'd rather just have like a more solid back line to where we're not going to, because like this team, like as soon as we drop one or two goals, like we're not going to go out and score 3 goals. Like we just don't create enough chances. Like our offense just isn't dynamic enough to do that. So I'd rather just have a better back line that isn't going to give up those 1 or 2 goals and then just win, like just grind out 1-0 games or 2-0 games. Like that's okay to be that team. Like teams go very far doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I don't really have anything else to say about this New England game. It was probably their best away performance. Unlucky to not come away 2-2 or something. But again, like they just didn't create a ton of chances either.
I believe this was their second game to score away.
The first one was Atlanta.
And then I think besides Atlanta and then this one, they haven't scored in any other away games.
Yeah, exactly.
Now don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Yeah, no, you are. So any final thoughts on the New England game?
No, you mentioned it earlier. New England was going; they had lost 4 games in a row, and it was bound to, they're bound to win one. Unlucky that it happened against us. And we spoke about it last episode, where it was like, this team's either gonna gain some sort of confidence from it, or have some sort of chip on their shoulders to like why they're losing so much, or just make better chances out of it, or they're just going to lose another game. I was hoping they were going to lose it, but they ended up turning around and winning it. So, just lucky on them. I am expecting. I don't. Do you know if we play them again later on? I'm sure we do, but
I don't think so unless we run into them like in the U.S. Open Cup or in playoffs or something. Just because we've already played them twice now. We've done the whole home away thing, so I don't think we'll see New England again, unfortunately.
But I am gonna put kind of like, whenever we do play them again in the future, it is going to be interesting to see how they react, because now they're just, both teams have 1-1.
Yeah.
Both at
home and
both at home.
2-1.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of develops.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is all the big caveat of like the Charlotte team's still unfinished, like it's not a full roster, first season in. Like, I think the future is bright, but it's a little bit of like that. We just want to see like good performances right away, especially because New England was such a beatable team.
Yeah, they seemed like they were so out of form, and the reason I was calling that game for us to win was just because, like, I mean, they lost to Miami, which was one of the worst teams in the league so far. But I guess, I mean, and eventually they win one.
Yeah.
But they just didn't look that great on paper, nor on any of the recent highlights. But on this game, too, they didn't look that great either. But they did, put 2 in on us.
Yeah, I mean,
1-1 if it hadn't been for that.
Let's say the second goal is more of like an error on our part than them breaking us down. Like that first goal, that was just a good, like, offensive team goal by them.
Yeah,
the second one just sloppy on us.
Yeah, just sloppy defending, but it still counts, and it's still a loss. I would have rather seen them split the points, especially for an away game. I mean, like, because I'm not counting this Greenville game we're getting ready to cover here in a bit as our first away win.
No.
I mean, it's
like half.
It's a different cup.
Yeah. No, I getcha. So let's jump into that. So last night, Wednesday night, Charlotte traveled down to Greenville, South Carolina to face the USL League One team, the Greenville Triumph, at their home stadium. The game, we won 2-1 in extra time. But I guess, we won, so we advanced past the third round of the US Open Cup to the round of 32. Give me your initial thoughts on this game. And did you know of the US Open Cup before this?
No. So
I didn't either.
I had no, like, listen, before Charlotte, I knew there was MLS, but I had no idea there was even like these types of teams or this tournament going on at all. I knew there was the Charlotte Independence. I just, I didn't know what the heck they competed in, or I've never been to any of their games. I know they're a lower tier team. And nothing, not to take away from that, because I believe some of our players have played for Charlotte Independence.
Yeah, Fuchs played there last year.
Right, while they were waiting for
Charlotte to kick off,
for MLS to kind of kick it off in here. But no, I had no idea what the U.S. Open Cup was, or that it had even been running this long.
It was like 1904 or something.
Yeah, like 1914, something like that.
That's crazy.
Right.
There was
I think I was alive back then.
You don't think you were alive back then? You gotta double check the records.
Resurrection.
Yeah, there was a great Instagram page to follow if you're a Charlotte FC fan is the Charlotte FC memes, and they had a great post, and we reshared it on ours, where it was like Charlotte FC fans today on Google, what is the US Open Cup?
Oh, really?
I was like, yeah, that was definitely me. I'm like, what is this?
I did see a meme where there was like a frustrated kid staring at the screen, and it was like me watching the Charlotte play Greenville. I'm like,
yeah, that was me.
I was like, I've said it before. I was just I was so surprised that we were struggling so bad. 1 goal on these guys.
Yeah, and in the first like 25-30 minutes looked decent. Like they were creating chances. They weren't really putting them away.
Right.
And then we get the first goal here like in the 40 minutes. But even this goal was kind of like a pretty
Super lucky.
lucky, like sloppy goal. Like credit to Adam Armour for like driving into the box and then just like going for the back heel. Like
Right.
it's kind of like that Thanos moment of like puts the glove on, I'll do it myself. He's like, I'm just gonna back heel this into the goal. Screw it.
But
Like,
he had like no other option.
yeah.
And honestly, it goes back to how you had said, like, we get into the box and then we have no idea what to do. Like, he should have took that shot 2 to 3 steps earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he tried to stop and do a move or like just shoot the dang thing.
Yeah, just flick it up and bicycle it in.
Yeah, and he had other Armour could have had 2 goals probably at least in this game.
He and Mackenzie Gaines could have had a couple games,
but
like
they
a couple goals.
just wasted opportunities. Like, I don't know, and you can tell me what you think. But I don't know if they just took this game lightly. I know the coaching staff took it lightly because of the starting lineup. I mean, obviously you got all your. This is the B team starting. You know, this is the guys that have not seen any minutes or just barely any minutes.
Yeah, you got your late subs and then guys who haven't played any yet. So I mean, I guess let's
and for us to like just waste moments like that, like for those guys that, I mean, you gotta, this is where you make your highlight reels, you know, like it's, why are you flicking a shot over a goalie and then missing it?
Yeah.
Or trying to backheel it, like drive it into the back of the net. You need those stats if you want to get into the starting lineup for the A team.
Yeah, because you got to think about it like from the coach's perspective too. Like, okay, you were given this like silver platter chance where it's just you and the keeper, and instead of going around them or just placing it into the bottom corner, you tried to like chip them and wasted the chance. How can I trust you in an MLS game when we're fighting to make playoffs? If you get a chance like that and waste it, it's
right. I feel like the only ones that really took this game seriously or like tried to make the most out of the opportunity was Ortiz.
Yeah.
And Awful.
In Armour.
In Armour, yes and no, because like I said earlier, Armour should have definitely had that one first shot. He was by himself. He only had the goalie in front of him. He either curve it around him or do something, but he just tried to chip it, like shoot it earlier. He tried to chip him and missed it horribly.
I think you're thinking of Mackenzie Gaines.
Was that Gaines?
Yeah. Yeah, where he tried to chip the keeper and it just floated over into the top of the net.
We'll have to go into the highlight reel here in a little bit so I can show you how right I am.
But I mean, I thought Armour like
was that also Gaines that he tried to? Oh yes, you're right. No, it is Gaines. Yeah, but still, like, yeah, I guess okay, we'll throw Armour in there, but like,
especially he played like the whole 120 minutes and like never stopped like sprinting after the ball. Like
But Awful and Ortiz were just like all over the place on this game.
Yeah, and shout out to Awful because like, I mean, he's 35 and played all 120 minutes.
Oh yeah,
like, and scored the goal from the right back position. Yeah. But anyways, like before we get too deep into it, I mean, here's another chance by Gaines, and gives it to Awful, and he tries to. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about
like some of those guys didn't really take it too seriously, and I was like, I mean, we should have put. I feel like this should have been a 3-0 game.
Yeah, and even like before, when people were asking for like score predictions online and stuff, that's kind of what I had said that I would like to see. Was like, this should be like a 3-0 like dominant performance, like really put like our pressure onto this team, because we have like the talent to do it, and the playing style to do it. Like we should have been able to do it. But yeah, let's jump into the starting lineup. No Kalina. We saw the backup keeper George Marks. That's got to be the shortest goalkeeper I've ever seen. I mean, he had a good performance, but man, he is not very
short.
tall.
He's probably like my height.
Yeah.
The guy is short. He must be able to jump really well. I think there was a point where they were showing, the camera was on that goalie from the top of his head to the top of the crossbar. I was like, man, you could like almost fit another person in there. It's like the guy is short. And I think for MLS standards, I'm surprised he made that team. But I mean, good on him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean he won a national championship with Clemson. He was a starter there for 3 years, so I mean he's got talent, but that was just crazy to see. And then moving on to
He did have some good saves, and he did have that one amazing save. I mean, the shot was called offsides, but he did have that one crazy diving save and very quick reactions. So I'll give him that. He does have some really good quick reactions. But then again, you still need that height. Like I always think goalies should need to be at least 6 foot tall.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. But and then we moved to the back line. So what do you think of the back lines? We got, Harrison Awful in at right back over Lindsay. We have Walks over Kruho. Jan Zobozinski getting his
The other
debut.
Polish defender.
Yeah. So our other Polish pistol.
Yeah, our recruiter he's spent some time over in Poland.
Poland is sick, guys. We should make a team out here.
There's nobody out here recruiting these guys for a reason.
And then Joseph Mora at the left back position. I liked this back line. Besides, I mean, Walks had a good game, but he's probably the only one that I was iffy on, just from his past couple performances. Great to see Jan get his debut, and great to see Harrison Awful get more minutes. I think every time he's come on to the game, he's had an impact. The Atlanta performance really sticks out to me.
Mm-hmm. That's what this kind of just cements it even more for me. It's like Awful needs to get more starting. Well, maybe not starting, but more time in off subs.
Yes, I mean, he had a really great performance here. Obviously, he bags the winner. I mean, he's 35 years old, like we said, plays the whole 120, is getting up and down like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
After seeing this performance, yes, it is a weaker side than your typical MLS side, one could argue, but I mean, going forward, who would you rather see, Awful or Lindsay? I think this game does bring up that question, because some of the runs Awful made, you don't see Lindsay making. Like that run into the center to play the 1-2 to get the winning goal. I've never seen Lindsay go into that position.
No, yeah. I like I like Lindsay at that spot right now. Because again, going into the right back, it's very rare that you see a defensive player anywhere on that line, left back, center back, wherever, going that deep into the box. Unless he's like part of just some crazy run. Lindsay does make those good runs down the sides for a cross inside or for like a top diagonal shot, something like that, because he has had a couple of shots. But Lindsay is also good physically where he's at, where I feel like Awful's a little bit smaller and shorter, and his stature is not there. I think he would get like overwhelmed physically by other attackers. So I like Awful better as like a winger or center midfielder somewhere, but not as a solid defensive guy. I think they just put him there because of the team that we were playing and the caliber of attackers that we were going up against. But no, I'm good with Lindsay staying where he's at. But I do think Awful needs to see some more minutes coming in off the subs.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just wanted to pose the question, because I thought the performance from Awful really, needs to be shown some kind of reward. Could definitely see him just getting, being the first sub off the bench to play like that left or right mid and let him go forward a bit more. But definitely think he provides more competition at that right back spot. But I would agree. I think what Lindsay brings defensively is more than what Awful brings, and he does get into advanced position. So I agree. Just wanted to bring up the conversation.
It could be just also too where like Awful just wanted it more, and he saw the opportunity and took it, and why not? If it's going to get you more playing time in these other regular season games, and go for it. But like somebody had to do it. These other guys just didn't seem like, it almost seemed like they wanted to go into PKs.
Oh gosh, I don't want to see that.
No, right.
Especially with that goal.
No.
Like, I don't know. Nothing against George Marks. He's just so short.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm short too.
Like, looking back at that Awful highlight here, he was part of like the passing where, it was like a 1-2, and he just kind of decided to take it on himself.
Yeah.
maybe if Lindsay had been put in that position, he might have done the same thing. It was like, pass from Bronico, and then he just drives it in. Another pass, another pass.
Yeah.
He just, he did a 1-2 off of two guys. So
yeah. And then
hard to compare it, but I feel like Lindsay would have probably made the same run.
Yeah.
If put in that situation.
And then the only other, highlight in that back line, I thought Jan had a great game. I thought he brings something a bit different than Makun and Corujo and even Fuchs into that center back position of like, he tried to ping a lot of balls like diagonally forward to stretch the field, where I don't see that from the other center backs. And I only remember like one or two defensive errors really that he made, and they were both kind of high up the midfield line.
Yeah.
So definitely not shouting that he needs to get a start right away or anything, but would like to see him get some more playing time. Just because I thought he did have a good performance and brings a little bit more of an attacking dynamic from that position, as much as you can from a center back.
No, yeah, I thought our defensive line held up just fine. It was unfortunate that one goal went in, but if you go back and look at the highlights from when Greenville got that goal, it was like he's right at the top of the box. He gets the pass in, kind of turns with it and shoots. He doesn't wait too long. He doesn't take a lot of steps or stop the ball to look up to see who's open. He just receives the ball, turns and shoot very quick, all within 2-3 seconds at the most. And that's what you and I have been just like constantly blaring down people's ears right now, is like, we need more shots like that.
Yeah, I mean, so the guys
it's
for
like
Greenville,
surprise shots that are gonna go in.
Yeah, so I mean, his name is Jay Keegan, I believe. I mean, like when he scored it, like I googled him. I was like, who is this? Like, can Charlotte pick this guy up? But no, he's like 31, so
no, we don't need that.
Yeah, but
that little Portuguese guy.
Ronaldo Jr.
I don't even know what his name is. I just know what he screams on Instagram. He's like,
oh, you're talking about the Brazilian kid.
Yeah, he sounds like the little kid from the Wild Thornberries.
I'm sure he's just screaming something in Portuguese. So then moving on to the midfield, pretty much a whole new midfield. We got Derek Jones starting at that holding mid spot.
Yeah, good on him too. He held that position very well.
Yeah, I thought he had some really good tackles. He's a good presence in the middle of that field too, and good distribution. Again, like he's really able to like either play it out quickly or hold the ball and shield guys and like look up and see what pass to make.
He just he takes his game to like a very physical level where like you're not gonna push this guy around.
No.
And if he's on you and you have the ball, like you got to get rid of it quick,
makes
because
good tackles.
He's gonna put you on the floor.
Yeah, I like his style of play a lot. And then we got Sergio Ruiz, we got Adam Armour and Mackenzie Gaines in midfield, and I'm trying to think if I'm missing anyone. I don't have the lineup in front of me, but Sergio Ruiz, good game. Nothing.
Ruiz is another one that I think it's also very bland. Doesn't bring much to the game. Nothing impresses me, and I'm not too static when I see his name pop up in the lineup either. He's like, I feel like this team has better options than him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, I feel like him, Bronico, and Jones are kind of all vying for that same position. And I mean, to me, there's a clear number one in Jones. I'm not sure why the other two get more playing time. Who knows? But I would even take Bronico over Ruiz, honestly. I think he has more speed and a little bit more physicality than Ruiz does.
I don't like his mustache.
Who's?
Ruiz.
I didn't even know he had a mustache.
He might not.
And then we get Tito Ortiz in as well.
Yeah.
Which I guess him and Gaines were our forwards, and I feel like I'm messing up this lineup somewhere. Oh no, and then Rios started as well, right?
No, Rios did not start. It was
Reyna.
Reyna started.
Reyna started.
Gaines started. Ortiz was in the midfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I even heard the commentators mention how, I
did not like these commentators. They were just not prepared.
Oh no.
Well,
I think Yazviak also made his debut.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But like, what were you gonna say about the commentators? Because I just have like a couple.
Oh well, I remember them mentioning that you know, as far as, and this is something that I had mentioned in previous episodes, where Ortiz is number 10 and he carries, you know, with the number 10 jersey comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of weight, and his output or his performances have not been there to where he's, you know, it solidifies the reason why he's wearing that. But it looks like he has been building momentum. And I just remember the commentators mentioning something about, you know, his past performances and how he's doing now. So maybe he was just in bad form.
No,
but I was just kind of like, okay, I'm glad somebody else did take notice of that.
I do think you are seeing Ortiz improve like each game, and I mean, you've seen from the start of the season, you saw like he was not up to par really, and he lost that starting spot,
right?
And he started getting reduced to like a very late substitution, like getting 2-3 minutes.
And I still don't feel like he's at that starting, like he has improved, but not enough to get a starting spot.
I'd have to agree with that. But then, like I was saying, like you've seen the progression of like, you know, he's had 1 or 2 chances almost go in with those late substitutions. You see in the New England game, he gets to come in earlier, gets the goal, he gets the start for this game, gets the goal here. So wouldn't be surprised to see him get even more playing time next game going forward. But I thought he had a good performance here. What I was going to say about the announcers, though, like, I mean, you could just tell they didn't do any research for this game, because like the whole game, they're like, Adam Armour's the only player on the Charlotte field who's gotten a goal. I'm like, Ortiz just scored last game. Like, what are you talking about? They mentioned that like
a lot of
4 or 5 times until he did score.
For the starting lineup.
And then when he did score, they're like, he gets his first goal for the club. I'm like, he just scored. Like, no.
I don't recall them saying that.
Yeah, I was like,
I do remember when they said that Armour was one of the only ones on that starting lineup with a notch under his belt there. But that's funny. That's funny that you noticed that night.
I was like, you only would have to look up our last performance to figure out that that's not true. I don't understand how they knew about Armour's goal, but not the most recent one. But yeah, I don't know. That was just my tidbit on the announcers. And I thought a couple of things they said were a bit dumb, like, and repetitive, but whatever.
Yeah, I think they messed up. Either I'm messing it up or they're messing it up. It was like they kept saying Yaziak or something like that. I was like, Yazviak, isn't it Yazviak? I Googled it.
Yeah, I thought we were saying it the right way, and I'm pretty sure continue saying it that way until he corrects me.
Yeah, but also thought it was kind of funny. They only had the 2 camera angles. Yeah. And at one point when they're playing like near the sideline, the camera's like going straight down. I was like, geez.
It's an early college state, like it's an early college, you know, it's not a dedicated stadium or anything. But I mean, props to
they said they had a sold out stadium.
4,000, over 4,000, yeah.
I thought it was like, I could be wrong, but I thought they said 12,000. But 4,000 seems 4,000 looking at the highlights here, 4,000 seems more
there's no
on par
way
there.
12,000.
There's no way there's 12,000 people there.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, shout out to the away fans that traveled and into the home fans, because like you could hear all the chants on both sides on our TV, like, and it looked like a really cool, fun environment.
And you know, I'm surprised that Greenville even had that much support for it. They had a whole support section on their side over there.
Yeah.
So that was
very cool to see.
I remember, and you'll see it as well if you watch these highlights. There's a guy that holds down with the crown sign. I thought that was hilarious. Every time I'm like, who is that guy? Very brave.
Like, is he down with the crown, or he wants to see the crown go down? It's a confusing sign. So yeah, so we get the 1 goal lead at the half.
Yeah.
I thought the first half, like, again, like we looked pretty dominant for like the first 30 minutes, and then I was
expecting goals to just kind of start dropping from there.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they got the rhythm down, they got one in, butterflies are gone, but
that second half, Greenville took over for large chunks of that second half.
Which I kind of expected, because that first goal was kind of late in the first half.
Yeah.
So I figured, you know, they're just waiting for this thing to end.
And you
and
can
then they're just
imagine
gonna
how
come out.
that team talk goes at halftime, right? Like you can imagine how the team talk goes at halftime. Like we only held them to like a late fluky goal, boys. Like we can do this. Like we just go out there and play your game. Like you know, I can just imagine how the team talk went, and they came out that second half like firing.
Yeah, I mean
they
they were
played with
sending
really good
guys
pace.
like they were sending guys up the field.
They played very fast. Like I was really impressed with how they played on the attacking side of the ball.
It was like they just left three defenders on their side and send everybody else up.
And like whenever they lost the
pressured
ball, they'd
Charlotte
immediately
hard.
win it back. Yeah. One guy I wanted to point out on the Greenville side was number 23. I think it was Alan Glenaviz, something like that. I thought he had a really good performance. He's a pretty young guy, I think 21, out of San Diego. After that performance today or yesterday, would not be surprised if we see him in the MLS in the future. He great, technical skills, delivered the ball well, saw a lot of the ball, and was just up and down all night, like just running at Charlotte, and was kind of like one of their key playmakers, it seemed like. So, just wanted to point him out, and I think we'll probably see more of him in the future. After everyone on this field or in this game that played, he really stood out to me.
What'd you think of the Rios yellow card?
For the substitution?
Yeah.
I was like,
it was such a lame card. And I get it's a technicality.
You have to give it, right? Like,
but it's like, I mean, you could tell the confusion before he even ran on.
I don't get like what the confusion was though. Like why wasn't Reyna coming off?
I have no idea. Maybe he just didn't want to come off.
Yeah.
Which I could understand.
I mean, he had a pretty quiet game though. I get why he came off. I kind of thought when I saw Reyna starting, I was like, oh, this is going to be a game where he kind of like
takes off.
Yeah, and kind of starts, making the case for playing alongside Swiderski more or what. But I don't think he did much this game. But yeah.
He wasn't great, but I mean, he had more of an impact on the New England game.
Yeah, definitely.
I felt like he should have stayed on. I feel like none of the other guys, Bender, Fuchs, Rios, any of those guys should have came on at all. I feel like they should have just gotten their rest. Because even, from those subs, it's not like our second goal was from them.
Well, Yazwiak came on as a sub, and he's the one that passed it to Awful. But
yeah,
it could have been anyone though.
It could have been anybody else passing it back to Awful.
Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't like some crazy play he made.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
But I get why the coach did it, and I almost kind of figured it was going to happen because, I mean, 1-1, you're going into overtime, and like this is a game that should have never even been this close.
And you can tell he didn't want to go to overtime. That's why he put in all the big guns all at once. It wasn't like, okay, Bender, you go in and try to get the second goal, and 5 minutes later there's no second goal, and then it's like, okay, Rios, now you go in, still no other goal, okay, now you guys. It was like, all right, guys, go put this game to bed. Like we gotta, I'm gonna go warm the bus up. We gotta go.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it was like you can't lose this game, and you can't lose the next game either. Like you can't lose to teams like that.
Yeah.
It just defeats morale, and it doesn't look good overall. And
also too, like he made all those substitutions all at once, and I kind of feel like the guys that came on really let him down because the Greenville coach didn't make any substitutions. He was trying to get this game to overtime to then put in fresh legs and win the game in overtime. And if that would have happened, like it would have made Ramirez look bad because he would have got kind of like outmanaged by like how he manages the substitutions, and then it just makes the team look bad of like you lost to a USL team, like which
I have questioned before in the past, his substitute timing. He seems to like, besides that New England game, sometimes he puts these very late subs in. I'm like, why are you putting guys in at the 80th or 84th minute? Like, I mean, I get there's still, 10 to possibly 15 minutes left to play, but it's like, should have had subs coming in around the 65th to 75th at the latest.
Yeah, the only time I like when managers do that, like the late, 85th plus substitution, is like when they're putting a game to sleep and they're
Right. Yeah,
letting
if you're
like,
gonna grind out a 1-0 or something like that.
or if you're up like 3-0 and you let like a young guy get some playing time.
Yeah.
I like that. But this was not the case. This was
No.
like, all right,
and it hasn't been
starters.
that case in some other games either.
Yeah.
So I have questioned, his timing on substitutes in other games, but this one was kind of predictable. I'm like, I get why he's putting in these big guys at this time. I was like, it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, and I like how I think
But
it
it should have been the
last-
other guys doing it, and it
Yeah.
should have been about 45 minutes earlier.
So what did you think of Yazuek's debut?
I thought he was pretty good. He
Hard to
didn't
judge it
score.
against a team of this caliber, right?
Mhm.
What he was able to do on this game is hard to see how that is going to translate to an MLS game. But
yeah.
I thought it was all positives.
Yeah, I mean, I did see he had, I think from what I can recall right now, because they're not even showing it on the highlights, but I do remember he had one low shot to the keeper where he went past two defenders.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that, and I thought that was nice. Yeah, I'm not sure if he had a second shot or not, but I thought he did all right. It's good that he's getting in there. I could be wrong because I'm just going off the commentator information, but they did say that he had practiced and he wasn't at 100% from that ankle injury, but good enough to play in this game. So who knows?
Yeah, I remember on the day of the New England game, there was reports that he had like hurt his calf or something like that. Like I guess at the last practice session, and then that was one thing I forgot to talk about at the New England game. Like obviously, like he doesn't see any minutes at that game, which is a little disappointing. But one, and just to harp on this real quick, one thing I didn't like was, when Ramirez was asked about it, like why didn't you give any, at least 5 minutes to Yazuek or whatever? And he said, he's new to the team, he doesn't know the system yet, he doesn't know how to play with this yet, so that's why I didn't sub him in. I'm like, dude, you're down 2-1. I mean, obviously he can't foresee going down 2-1, right?
Right.
But like, I don't know. I feel like to give him 5 minutes in a game, you don't really need to know like a system, right? It's just like, all right, go find some open space and
just get open and get some shots in.
Yeah, especially the last like 5 minutes or something. I mean, again, it's hard to foresee like needing an extra offensive guy to come back from. But even if you are planning on like it being a game that you're going to put away easily, I don't see why you wouldn't bring him on the bench and just throw him on late. I just thought it was a weird like reason.
I don't know. I think if you're gonna bring him in that late, it's almost a waste of a sub. I mean, 5 minutes. Granted, you still have 5 minutes of game time, and then if the ref gives you an additional 5, but the way New England was playing it and just killing time, he would have just been kind of walking around or jogging around, not really getting too much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna put him in at the 75th minute.
Yeah, like we saw at this game.
I don't like to, unless you're gonna really grind out like a 1-0 game where you put in fresh defenders or midfield, something like that, then yeah, do some late subs because those defensive guys are getting tired, things like that. But for an attacker, for me, there's no point in putting in an attacker, especially that late in the game.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, to go back to the Greenville game, I thought he had a good game. He definitely brings a different attacking element than any other players we have. Like, you can clearly see like he picks the ball up around the box and wants to like cut in and shoot or beat guys and shoot, which is really nice to see. But it begs the question of like, where does he fit into this team? Like, I just don't see where he fits in on the starting lineup.
Yeah, because Franco seems to kind of have that right wing or that right midfield position locked down pretty well.
Yeah,
and Alcivar aimed for that center mid.
And like, even if he were to like displace Bender or Franco, it doesn't really seem like that matches his strengths.
Right.
Just because like there's a lot of defensive work in that position as well.
Yeah.
That I don't know if he has. Like, Franco brings in a lot of physicality to the position.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if Yazuek brings that really.
It's hard to tell from this one match that we saw.
Yeah.
From this Greenville match that he played in yesterday, form wise, he looked more of a forward, like a striker. He didn't come off as a guy that plays midfield. We'll just have to kind of wait and see how he develops, because again, he's only had this one game, and so that's all we can base it off of. But right now it looks like he's looking more of like an attacker striker.
Kind of like a winger or something.
Right. But that could change. He could be somebody that's very physically strong and it's just he doesn't look the part. Or he could be somebody that just like an attacking midfield that develops to play to Soderski, excuse me, or Rios to kind of get those guys open more or hold the ball so they can make some type of runs in.
Yeah, I did like how I did like though that he was like not afraid to try to beat one or two defenders and then take a shot. Like that was a nice change of pace to see in this team, and I think something that this team needs.
Yeah, and again, from the one shot that I do recall that he had from this game is where he beat two defenders and then he shoots. Although it was low, and the turf kind of got a little bit of the ball too, but it was a left-footed shot. Which when Charlotte on their Instagram, when they put out his highlights from the other league, he had one of his goals on the highlight reel was from a left shot. And I mentioned that I was like, he's got a good left shot, and so he's using it. So I'm glad to see that it's something that he's not afraid to try. Whether it's left-footed or right-footed, he's at least willing to try.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah. Any other things in this game you want to mention? I mean,
God, no, I just want to forget this game.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever dropped so many like F-bombs at my TV. There was points in this game where I was just like, I just hope Greenville put this game away because I'm done watching it. Like, we just didn't deserve to win this game, really. I mean, good on the team to like fight for the whole 120 minutes and get the like goal and like not give up, but like they should have put this game away so early.
Yeah, it was just I was just shocked how we just struggled against this team, but I guess that's how it goes sometimes.
Yep, and props to Greenville. I thought they looked good when they were playing. Like they didn't look like a third tier team. I thought they looked really good.
Yeah. I think another thing that also frustrated me more, it was like, when this game's going on, there's the other games going on as well, and the commentators are kind of giving like a goal update on other teams. And like, I think by the end of the first half, you and I had talked about this, but by the end of the first half, Atlanta and whoever they were playing were already up like 3-0. And then the second half starts and they're like, oh, Atlanta has scored another goal. I'm like, good Lord. Like, did Atlanta just start their main starter, guys? Or like what?
I have no idea.
I didn't even want to look it up because I didn't want to know the answer. But I was just like, it was just so frustrating to hear that, our rival is outscoring their lower team or their lower division team. And we're like tied going into overtime.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been worse, right, though? It could have been, I think Austin FC lost, Chicago Fire lost. So there was a couple MLS teams that ended up losing and got knocked out of the cup, this early on. So it
definitely suck.
So it could have been worse, but man, I just was not expecting this result. So we move forward to face Colorado this weekend. What are your thoughts on the match going forward?
I don't know. I haven't seen Colorado's highlights. I don't know what type of form that team is in right now. And even if I had, it's hard to base a team on how they're performed on the past performances, obviously, because we thought New England was going to be a win just because of how horribly they had done, but they proved us wrong. I'm just going to call it just to be kind of conservative here. I mean, I won on our first away win. And hopefully it's against Colorado, but it's just not looking like how we played against New England and how we played against Greenville. It seems like we're in bad form right now. So best case scenario, I'm hoping we split some points here 1-1.
Yeah.
I mean, best case scenario obviously is a win.
Yeah.
But it's just not looking like that.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like we're in a bit of a slump right now just because we can't get the ball to our goal scorers in Swiderski.
Yeah. In away games are not our strong suit.
No, it is not. So yeah, I think Colorado last week. I don't know how they did this past weekend, but I know before that they were 2-2-2, so a pretty split team. The tricky thing is just going to be like playing at elevation.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a big difference. And then we had, not to sound like a crazy New England fan, but we had the Wednesday game where we went into extra time and a lot of our starters saw 60, 70 plus minutes, and then you got to think our guys who are late subs just saw at least 60 minutes up to 120 minutes, so definitely not going to be a lot of fresh legs.
Yeah, I just pulled up the table standings. So Colorado on their Western Conference, they're in 10th right now, and we're in 8th, so we're about even. Now they do have the home field advantage, and I don't know any Charlotte fans are going to be traveling that far for a game.
Yeah.
If you are, good on you, but we'll see. I mean, that's going to be a tough match for them, just because, like you said, altitude, and then just it's an away game, and away games have not been our strong suits.
No, they haven't. I mean, the positive is like we did look our best against New England, just couldn't create any chances. I mean, that's really going to be the biggest thing in this game, right? I think if we see McCoon and Fuchs start in the regular spots, I think I'm going to kind of chalk that game up.
I mean, you would think that the coach would know right now that McCoon sucks and Fuchs is better at center back, but he's obviously not listening.
Yeah, he must have unsubscribed a couple weeks back. Sorry to see you go. Yeah, I think, got to start a stronger back line and really need, I will say, at least the guys who are going to be fresh, Alcivar, Franco, and Swiderski. Those are the, key guys who we really need to step up. In my mind, especially Alcivar and Franco, so they can get the ball to Swiderski in more advanced positions than what he's been seeing the last couple games of picking it up at midfield.
Yeah.
Really want them to connect and get some good plays going. But I'm hoping I'd like to see a 1-0 win away, just get a goal and then just grind the game out.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
This is definitely
ain't gonna happen, but it'd be nice.
Yeah. And we've kind of said this a couple of times, but this seems like an opponent that's doable. But again, who knows with our away form? Who really knows?
Yeah. I mean, if they could get a goal early on in the match and then just control the tempo, and then, second half, got to get another goal to really just finish it out, that'd be great. But
yeah, because I mean, if that would happen against the New England game, they definitely could have done that. I mean, they had 60-40
that was
possession.
The game to do it in.
Like, this team can clearly pass the ball around and advance it forward, which before, that kind of felt like something we struggled with, was not necessarily holding on to the ball, but just holding on to it in more advanced positions. And I feel like in the New England game, and in this game a bit, we were doing that a lot better, of holding it kind of more towards the midfield and the opponent's half. So obviously they have the capability of doing it. It's just a matter of getting that goal, creating that goal.
Just whenever they get that ball at the top of the box or just in the box, like, quit stutter stepping so much and just shoot the ball.
Yeah, I have to agree. Any final thoughts?
No, looking forward to hearing your guest spot on that other podcast. What was there again?
Outhouse Saloon.
Outhouse Saloon. Okay, sounds cool.
They are on YouTube.
Oh, I did have, let me see. I didn't check any on Spotify, but we did have another review on Apple.
Oh,
podcast.
Yes. So we'll do our shout out.
So we'll do a shout out.
Shout out.
Let's see. So this one is from, and this one's one I missed from the first time we did it. So I'll cover that one real quick. That one's from A8 Rabbit. It says easy to listen to and not super analytical like the other sports podcast. Thanks for that. And then
shout out.
Mr. Gent. Those two guys are true Charlotte FC fans. We are. They're skilled commentarios. Okay, Spanish. I am skilled.
A strong word.
That's it. They are skilled commentarios.
We have equipment.
Comments towards the home and visitor teams. Shout out, Mr. Gent. Appreciate that 5-star rating. Shout out.
Shout out.
So yeah, if you guys want to hear your shout outs, leave us a 5-star ratings and I will try to read them out. English as a second language.
And if you can't do it through Apple or Spotify, feel free to go to our YouTube channel, leave a comment on just the latest, podcast episode. So it'll be this podcast episode. And next week we will just read the comments off that.
Yeah. If I missed any on Spotify or YouTube, I do apologize. I will look those up eventually, and then we'll put them out there on the next episode.
Yeah, and shout out.
Shout out.
All right, well, that's gonna be it from you and I. Good to see that the bookies didn't get you.
Never
You
get me.
got all fingers, all toes, I'm assuming. And
Yep.
if you like the podcast, share it with a friend. It's the best way you can help us out. And feel free to follow us at our socials at offsides_CLTFC on Instagram and Twitter. And our YouTube channel is Offsides CLTFC. We post all our episodes up there as well. And we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Adavan.